Hi, I'm Steve Hassan, and I am very grateful to Dr. Ahmed Hankir in the UK to agree to do this interview with me. Thank you so much, Ahmed.
Thank you, Steve, for inviting me. It's a real pleasure and privilege.
And thank you. And the main reason I thought we should do this blog is you're a co-editor of a very prestigious publication that's just coming out called Islamophobia and Psychiatry: Recognition, Prevention, and Treatment.
That's great.
You're one of the four editors, H. Stephen Moffick, John Petit, and Rania Awad are all co-editors. And I might add that John Petit, the psychiatrist at Brigham and Women's, I've known for some 18 years. He and Dr. Mary McCarthy have had me come and speak to their fourth year psychiatry residents in their training program to speak about my specialty of cult brainwashing and mind control. And when John was asked to do this book, he asked me if I wanted to do a chapter, and I was like, wow, a chapter in an academic volume like this, I can't not say yes. And that's how I met you. And we decided to do this chapter together. And let's see, our chapter title is called Psychological Determinants and Social Influences of Violent Extremism. And it's the wrap-up chapter of the entire book. But I've spoken enough. I want to introduce you, ask you to say a little bit more about your background and training, your interests, and what this book is really about, Ahmed.
Sure. So I'm Dr. Ahmed Hankir. I'm a senior research fellow with the Center for Mental Health Research in association with Cambridge University in the UK. And I'm also a professor of psychiatry with the Carrick Institute for Graduate Studies in Cape Canaveral in USA. My interests include global mental health, Muslim mental health, and pioneering and evaluating innovative programs that challenge mental health related stigma and Islamophobia. I was fortunate enough to collaborate with Steve Hassan, and we co-authored a chapter for the textbook, Islamophobia and Psychiatry, which was commissioned by Springer. It's the first textbook of its kind. And understandably, we're incredibly excited. We think this is a fantastic opportunity to raise awareness of not only the egregious effects of Islamophobia, but also of undue influence and mind control and brainwashing and cult organizations.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you're Muslim, I'm Jewish, and we're friends, and we work very well together for this common good of human rights around the world. I've been myself a victim of Islamophobia, even being Jewish, because of the spelling of my last name, Hassan. So I have a very personal feeling towards this problem of people labeling an entire religion and taking media, sensationalistic media around terrorist activities and blaming 1.5 billion people, or is it more than 1.5 billion people? You know, in the United States, as you well know, there are far more terrorist acts by white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and other groups rather than Islamic, related even terrorist acts, which get a lot of, overwhelming amount of media attention. And unfortunately, with the current administration in the White House, there's an accentuation on this fear of outsiders. And Trump himself was spreading, birther lies that President Obama was really a Muslim, when in fact he's a Christian and always was, and was born in Hawaii, which is an American state. But nevertheless, this conspiracy theory stuff that's causing so many psychological and emotional problems for people, not just in America, but all over the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've touched on many important points. So for example, the Sikh community, they report elevated levels of being the victim of hate crime because they are perceived as Muslim. There was a fascinating study conducted by Jonas Kunst and colleagues in Europe. And what they did is they developed and validated the perceived Islamophobia scale. And they revealed that there is an association between Islamophobia and psychological distress. So this was a seminal study. We cited it in our textbook multiple times. And another one of the important points that you touched upon was some of this kind of toxic rhetoric that is being espoused at the moment, and how divisive it is, and all of this kind of fear mongering, and it's very upsetting. It doesn't have to be this way. As you said, you're a Jewish man, I'm a Muslim man. We believe in peaceful coexistence. We're not just collaborators, but we're companions as well. We're
exactly. And the Abrahamic faith, Jews, Christians, and Muslims all share the Abrahamic lineage in our traditions, and Abraham welcomed the stranger.
Absolutely.
Open.
I mean, cliche though it may be, there's more that unites us than there is that divides us. So we're trying to create a critical mass. We're in the process of showcasing the textbook at conferences, not just in the US and the UK, but throughout the world. I've just received an invitation to present at University of Southern California in Los Angeles in February. So I'm looking forward to publicizing and promoting our textbook, and more specifically our chapter on to emphasize or to reiterate raising awareness of the egregious effects of mind control, and how this might pertain to people who identify themselves as Muslim.
Yes, great. So do you want to share any other highlights of the book? Because you know about all the other chapters. I was looking at it online. There are many, many chapters that look fascinating.
Yeah, it's quite a hefty text. There's approximately 400 pages, and I'll comment on. So this book was inspired by a symposium on Islamophobia at the 2017 American Psychiatric Association annual meeting, and Dr. John Petit was a discussant from Harvard Medical School, and then he contacted Steve Mofick in Wisconsin, and John is a Christian, and Steve is a Jewish man, and Rania Wad at Stanford University, who presented her findings on Muslim mental health to Barack Obama in the White House. She's arguably the most famous psychiatrist in North America. She's the third member of the editorial team, and I'm the only member from outside of the United States. And we think that it's actually a powerful statement, this kind of ensemble of adherents of the Abrahamic religion. And one of the many messages that we're trying to convey is that I think we need to collectively challenge Islamophobia, not just Islamophobia, other types of race and religious hate crime. And we've just actually submitted a proposal to co-edit a textbook on anti-Semitism and psychiatry.
Yes, I got the email asking if I can do it, and I'm flattered, and I have a lot to say about that. And on that level, on that theme, I also just want to comment, just as a Jew, how horrified I am with Jewish extremism. I was just reading an article in the New York Times yesterday about how some youth in some settlement in Israel threw a rock and killed a Muslim mother of 9 because the rock struck her head and she died.
Yeah.
And the Shin Bet is investigating it, but the incitement of this us versus them mentality exists in all the major religions and Hinduism and unfortunately Buddhism, which isn't even a religion. People are using ideologies, but then
Yes.
putting this template over it of hatred of the other and fear instead of love and humility and kindness and compassion and helping the sick and the weak and the needy, which is the fundamentals of Judaism and Christianity and Islam.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, these people are twisting the teachings, the original teachings. So if you identify the sources, the actual texts and of the scripture, then the content is very clear that this is abominable. It's not in keeping with the principles of Islam at all. I mean, for example, these people, they might call themselves Jews or they might call themselves Muslims. And the term I've used in our textbook is self-proclaimed. These are self-proclaimed Muslims.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's...
Actions are the most important thing in our 3 traditions, not what you espouse, but how do you live your life? And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keeping good relations with your kith and your kin, greeting your neighbor, being kind, being patient, um, uh, uh, trying to champion peaceful coexistence. This is my interpretation, not just
right,
my interpretation. Like I said, we can't treat Muslims as if they are a monolithic entity. There's 1.7 billion of us on this planet.
right.
And just because there is a minority who claim to be Muslim, who carry out these abominable atrocities, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is representative of our faith in any way, shape, or form. We
And
condemn this
correct me if
loudly and
I'm
categorically.
wrong, but my understanding is that more Muslims are killed by self-proclaimed Muslims, whether Shiite or Sunni,
Yeah,
uh, than other faiths even.
not just that, but more Muslims are combating those who claim to be Muslim. So so as you rightly said, more Muslims are being killed by these so-called self-proclaimed Muslims, and more Muslims are actually combating these so-called self-proclaimed Muslims. I mean, we need to work together as an alliance.
Exactly. And unfortunately, there are very few corporations that control the media, at least in the United States. And there just is not representative coverage, in my opinion, of Muslims who are combating extremism. So
Yeah.
there's more of a focus on terrible things than on positive things because it sells newspapers, it gets more clicks, more
Yeah.
viewers.
You said that, yeah. I mean, some of these headlines are sensational, and unfortunately, segments of the media, including the social media, can demonize Muslims and kind of perpetuate these myths. And so we have to be very clear. We have to establish the facts and be dispassionate.
Right. And there's no such thing as alternative facts. It's either a fact or disinformation, the way I think about it.
I concur. I concur. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And wouldn't you agree that in the long term, we need more connections with each other to learn about each other's faiths, to see each other as human beings, and to find common ground rather than rely on social media, silos that
Yeah.
just interact with people who are espousing one particular viewpoint?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, you might have preconceptions that have been influenced by portrayals of so-called Muslims on the media or in film or there are many other sources. And I
Right.
think if you overcome these preconceptions, reach out and make contact with the so-called other, then you can discover that actually Muslims have hopes and fears and dreams and vulnerabilities, like everyone else, like me and you, like we're human beings.
Yeah, and we're parents, and we're husbands, and we're
Yeah,
wives, and we're
law-abiding, peace-loving, community-serving
right. I mean,
members of the community.
we both entered mental health. I'm humbled to be with a psychiatrist. You've done way more training in your field, but we all entered these fields because we care about people and we feel fulfilled by helping people who are suffering to ease their burden.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a chapter in the textbook that describes the Islamic Golden Age, and it was actually in the Muslim world, in Baghdad, which is where the first psychiatric hospitals were founded,
Mm-hmm.
and psychiatric illnesses were treated as medical disorders that required medical treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all consistent with the teachings of Islam.
Yeah, great. So I want to thank you. And just as we're wrapping up, are there any other points you'd like to make? I'm going to add links to how people can learn more about the book if they're interested.
Sure. So as I said, the book was published by Springer. It's available to purchase. You can purchase it from Amazon. You can just Google it, put down Islamophobia and Psychiatry. You can purchase either a hard copy or an e-copy. My website will be embedded in your blog. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or queries, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Fantastic. And I'm hoping to see you when I come over to the UK in July for the conference on cults and mind control. I don't know if we'll be able to see each other at that conference.
We'll definitely see each other. If you're in the UK, then
we haven't met in person yet.
To see you, Steve. I know that we haven't met face to face yet.
Very looking forward to it. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and we're hoping to put it up soon. And
I look forward to seeing it.
And thank you again.
Thank you, Steve. All the best to you.